Welcome back, my brave and beautiful humans, to another episode of Soul Hygiene. I have our wonderful friend who always graces us with his presence. It's always a blessing to have him here, Mr. Victor. And we are going to talk today about wisdom and patience. Mr. Victor, I know I've said this every time he's on the show, but he has a wonderful YouTube channel where he gives you just little tidbits of encouragement, wisdom, mostly well, not mostly. I think sometimes about exercise, but sometimes about things that go along with exercise and just nutrition and stuff like that. But he's always good putting a mixture in there. So you'll have to hop over to Victor Straw at YouTube and check out that. But today we're going to talk about the value of patience and wisdom on your journey. So I'm a blessed person to know the purpose God has given me. It has taken many years of trauma. And then, 6 years ago, that precipice of God just saying, hey, wake up. You're not a victim anymore. Let's go, and giving me a purpose. I call it my repurpose. And so he repurposed me into this journey that I'm on with soul hygiene. And it takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of wisdom and discernment, I guess would be another word that we could use, because no, Mr. Victor, there are days when I'm like, is this right? Is this wrong? What should I do? And I am very blessed to know that God is a part of my life and that I have my faith, because I don't know some days how people live without knowing God, without having a faith in something to get them through each day. So that's where I'm at. And that's where my patience and wisdom I'm learning every single day. And I think wisdom is and I know you'll chime in on this. They're definitely not things that we are innately given. I think patience and wisdom, although I have seen people who are born this way, they are the most laid back people. They have the best patience in the world, right? For the most part, people are not born with patience. And I think wisdom is definitely a learned attribute. You learn it through your experiences and the people around you, and, how you learn and what you want to learn. So I'm going to definitely get and enjoy Mr. Victor's take on this. He did one on his YouTube a couple days ago, and that's kind of where I got the idea. So you go listen to that little 5-minute encouragement over there as well. But I'm going to let Mr. Victor, again, just kind of tell everyone who he is, what he does, and talk about this for a little bit. And welcome to the show, my friend. I feel like it's been forever, but it really hasn't. It's only been like a month and a half or so since the
Yeah.
last we're here.
Miss Teejay, you're awesome, and I always love being on here with you and get to share with your audience and everybody. And it's just a joy and it's a delight, and I feel like I'm always talking or reconnecting with a friend, so it's very easy. Um, like Miss TJ said, I'm Victor Straw. I've got my company is called Victory Driven. I'm a former personal trainer, and I've owned multiple gyms and spent time in the Marine Corps and the military. And I taken a lot of what I've learned there and then applied it into my businesses and to my training protocol or philosophies. And then, just been through a lot of, either challenges, setbacks, personally, professionally, in business. Years ago, I went through a bankruptcy with my big gym when the '08 recession hit, and we tried to hang on as long as we could, and we couldn't survive it. We didn't make it. So a lot of my teaching that I do today, and now I call myself a high performance health coach. So I help people just really take some of these character traits, if you will, but then also to grow in your health, whether it is, wisdom and patience and, perseverance and diligence. But then in those same qualities, we need to apply if we're trying to build or strengthen our own lives from a physical standpoint or even a mental standpoint. So there's so much overlap or crossover, because of like, okay, if I'm going to try to be patient in I want to lose weight, or I want to drop my blood pressure, my cholesterol, or I'm struggling with diabetes, we just got to be patient and
Right.
trust the process and keep working the plan. but it's the same thing with, some of our other things in life too that we're trying to build. You and I were just talking about some of our, professional endeavors that we're, tackling, and the hurdles and challenges that we have in that realm is a whole different, you
Yeah.
know, different can of worms, so to speak,
Yeah.
but we need to be patient, going down that path, or striving up the mountain to try to reach that goal. So I think when I shared recently, talking about patience and wisdom, it's funny because a lot of the times I'll reflect on something that I'm either struggling with or challenged with, or it's just very prevalent in my day to day. So I more than likely, the day that I talked about patience was the day that I was being tried to try to be patient. And it's funny because you think, at least I do, it's like, oh, I'm doing pretty good in this area. And for the most part, these are some of my qualities that are maybe my strengths. But then all of a sudden,
Hmm.
I'm doing pretty good with the patience. And all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute. What happened to my patience? What happened to my calmness? What happened to, just trusting God and trusting the process, and just continuing to do this day by day. So there's days I think we all, if we're being honest, we get, knocked back a little bit. We get frazzled. It's just a hard, challenging, a season, whether it's a day or two, a week or two, or a month or two, or even longer. One of the things that I am struggling with now, or challenged with now in this economy, is patience to continue to do the right things on a daily basis, and have a smile on my face to go through and do it. It's just not easy. There's days where it's like, I'm right, I'm upbeat, everything's good to go. I worked hard today. I did my part. I believe I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm following the Lord. But then there's days where it's like, everything I do there, I'm, met with resistance. I'm met with a closed door. I actually journaled about this last week. It's like there's a lot of things that I'm trying to accomplish, but the resistance just seems to be so strong and so steady, or so just, on us. And I know I'm not alone. I know there's a lot of us that are feeling that right now too. So it's just a challenge. It's a challenge to keep positive and joyful and upbeat about it. But I think if we can take a pause and step back, look at what we're dealing with or what we're going through, and when we look at it from a bigger vision for a second, we like, okay, that closed door was for a reason. And that reason, if I really trust God, I mean, I think there's a time where you just keep moving forward. There's a times where you just pause and you just see what God is trying to show you. Um, but there's something there. There's a lesson to be learned. And I think that's where the wisdom piece comes in too, because it's like, okay, I'm trying to do too much of of this by myself. So maybe God's telling me to slow down, or quit knocking on this door. He wants me to go to this door, and then to reflect and have that wisdom to see that, and then, take another swing at the plate again, or step up to the plate, take another swing. I think that's the where I learn the most, because, one of the things that I've struggled as a Christian, and I'm still to this day, it's like there's so much that we're to do, but then there's so much you just trust God and, let go and let God too. But I think they need to be married or meshed. And I've always thought, okay, feel like God's telling me to do this, so I got to do, and then after I've done it for so many days or weeks and nothing's happened, I feel like God's like, hey, what about me?
Yeah.
I'm the one that gave you this. I'm back here. It's like, what's going on? And then I like have to reset my sails and stuff like that
Yeah.
too. So it's a hard thing, isn't it? And I think you have to do both. I think with the experiences that I've had, and I'm now in my mid 50s, it's like, I just can't sit here and pray all day and believe God's going to drop everything on my lap. He's
Yeah.
given me the abilities to go make it happen. He's given me talents. He's given me gifts. He's given me a brain of wisdom, and through past experiences, good and bad. So I need to take that and I need to go forth and do. I mean, it's, the word says faith without action is dead. So, I mean, we need to mesh the both of them. Um,
Yeah.
but it's hard to keep that in the forefront of our thinking when we're in the
Yeah.
battle too. So.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So you just took my thought right out of it. You knew what
Sorry.
I was going No, you're fine. But it's true. Faith isn't just sitting on your couch. I have faith that God's within me. I have faith that I'm going to heaven. I have faith that He's going to supply. but he did give us talents. He gives us almost like chores to do every day. Read your Bible, have a devotion, pray, worship. Okay. Those, I guess I shouldn't use the word chore because people will take that as a negative connotation, but you know what I mean? Like he gives us things to do.
I love the word chore, by the way, because
Oh,
people
good.
don't like the two words hard
Hmm.
work. But I
Right.
think life is hard.
It
Life,
is.
I don't care however you want to slice and dice it. Life is hard. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. I mean, we've all have things and struggles and challenges. They may be in different arenas, but and this is you and I were talking about with it's like, okay, you need
Yeah.
faith because boy, this is a tough journey. And
It
depending on what,
is.
mountain we're all scaling, it's tougher for others than, I mean, hard work is required, or just I think I probably share this every time I'm with you, but one of my favorite chapters or books of the Bible is James, and James talks about perseverance.
Hmm.
And, you know, it's like so much perseverance is required to run this race, to walk it out.
Yeah.
Even if it's not something that we're struggling with, maybe, vocationally or professionally, but, there's people that we know right now that are struggling with their health or cancer or those challenges.
Hmm.
And that's a hard battle. I mean, I always think of people like that. And maybe that's why I'm passionate about helping people obtain a better health, because if you don't have your health, every day, every hour, every minute, every step is a struggle. I can have struggles with my business today, but I'm like, okay, I'm done with it today. I'll deal with this tomorrow. People that have struggles with their health or their breathing, or I mean, there's so many issues. It's like, and it just breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart for people that just, if I can help, I want to help, but life is hard. And I didn't mean to cut you off there by any
No,
means,
no,
but
no.
I was
You're
like,
fine. You're fine.
um,
You always have the best thoughts. So usually they're mine, but you take them from me and say them. No, I'm teasing. No, but that's true. I always look at, I do have health issues, but there comes a point where you have to say to yourself, am I going to let these define me or am I just going to keep pushing? And I know that there are sometimes, I have seen people who are paralyzed, who can't even walk, who are like, I'm going to walk. And what happens? They end up walking, even if it's just one step. Or, I see stories all the time. And I looked at that like, if they can do it, I can do it. You know, the toughest stories in the world, and they persevered. And I love that word because God gives us that. That is deep within all of us. I believe we are born with perseverance. Perseverance. It's just a matter of if we're going to use it.
yeah,
There are certain things that are God given traits in every single person. And I do believe that is one of them because I see so many times where people just give up and then they're like, nope, I'm going to keep going. Well, guess what? That is something God put within you,
yeah,
you know? And I think that's one thing why SoulHygiene God gave me that purpose because there was a point in my life where I wanted to give up. I felt like I couldn't go anymore. I think I was like, I'm going to repurpose you. I have something for you. And all of a sudden I'm like, I can do this. I can do it. It's hard. I'm going to go through these battles for the next 6 years that I don't see coming yet, you know, but faith, perseverance, knowing what the truth is,
yeah.
believing that there is something bigger than yourself. God says in the Bible, go into all. He doesn't say only go to certain people. And how can you go unto all the world if you're sitting on the couch? You know,
I, I agree.
you
I agree
you
100%.
can't. You
Yeah.
can't.
Right.
So I think that's where and back to the patience and wisdom, it all ties in, you know. You have to have patience for God's plan because God knows more than we do.
Yeah.
He sees beyond what we don't, and He gives you the wisdom and discernment. I think, especially for people who have Him in their heart. Like I told you before, I'm like, I don't know how people live without knowing that there is a God.
Right.
But if it wasn't for my faith, I wouldn't make it every single day. I wouldn't make it out of bed. It was the point of God giving me a purpose and me knowing before I die, I have to fulfill. I got to run this race, you know? So I love the words wisdom and patience. And I think they're in one of the soul scrubbing manuals that I created because they're so important. And he talks about them in the Bible quite a bit. So yeah.
Tough lessons. I mean, are there, I mean, being patient, trusting God, trusting the process, going through the fire, the lean times. I mean, just the hard times. I mean, it's
Mhm.
again whether this is you have a health goal or a personal goal, a professional goal. There is that. With my clients, I say we got there's a preseason, there's an in season, there's a postseason. So sometimes these seasons get long. But you got to, think about, hey, we're in
Yeah.
it for this whole season. The season isn't just one game, one day, one weekend. This is a long
Yeah.
season. It's like a marathon, it's a long race. We gotta, we can't sprint mile one. We won't make it to mile three, and we got, 23 more miles to go. So I think if we can take that mindset, anything that's going to help us have more of a patient mindset, in it for the long haul mindset, or even just knowing that, okay, this stage is going to be tough. This is going to be
Yeah.
hard, or maybe these next 6 months, you know what? I can do this. We can make it, but it might be some lean or challenging situations that I have to encounter or deal with. And I think if we can have that, just like you said with your purpose, you have such a strong why. That is what gets you out of bed in the morning. That is what pulls you
Mhm.
forward. And again, there's some days you're probably like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get out of bed. I mean, that's just we're human beings.
Yeah.
I have a lot of days like that. And I'm like, I do this for a living and I love to pour myself into people and encourage them. But there's days where I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to go work out. I don't want to start this day. But you get up and you realize, hey, I am supposed to do one, two, three, four, five things today. I'm supposed to talk to these people. I'm supposed to do this. Then you get going, you start pouring into people, and my attitude changes. I get a little pep in my step because now there's other people I can pour into. But having that patience to just stay the course, to follow through and do what I feel like I'm being called to do or
Yeah.
what you're being called to do. You know, some days I need a little pep talk and say, okay, I can do this. I can do this. And then to persevere and to keep following through or to stay on the track on the journey for the day. And, you string a lot of those good days together, good weeks together, and you get good months together. And then you pause once in a while and you look back over your shoulder and realize, wow, I've come a long ways. Look where I was, look where I am today versus where I was 6 months ago.
You just did it again. You just took my thought right. This whole
Maybe it's the Holy
episode is
Spirit. The
about
Holy
Mr.
Spirit speak.
Mr. Victor just taking my thoughts right out of my head.
Holy
Hey, it
Spirit
just
speaking to us. I love
no,
it.
but that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like after a while, you just look back and God's gotten you so far, and you're like, wow, he really has gotten me here, you know?
And there's some things along the journey too that it's like
Yeah.
we weren't planning on this, or I didn't think
Hmm.
this was going to happen, or this setback I wasn't really
Yeah.
ready for, and that's where I think the pausing, the reflection, and what wisdom can I glean from this? Or God, what are you really showing me? Or what do I need to
Right.
learn? Or what I need to pick up? It's, one thing that I'm personally just looking at a lot is character development and wisdom. It's like, if there's something that I'm not seeing, show me. And if this is a dry season because it's a dry season
Yeah.
and I get it, but is there something else that I'm not seeing?
Hmm.
And I'm just trying to be more aware of that because there might be something that, okay, I've been around this thing for 10 times now. I'm not picking it up. And,
Right.
I'm a big believer in growth. I think we're all on a growth journey, probably different variations of it. Some of us love growth, some of us don't like growth. Some of us, we don't want to. It's not even in our vocabulary. I don't want to read another book again. I don't want to do. I'm just the
Yeah.
opposite. I'm like, I love that if I can pick up a nugget of wisdom by, talking with you or talking with this person, or I'm like, deposit something into my life that I can pick up
Yeah.
and say, oh my gosh, I never looked at it like this. That's Miss TJ gave me this today. I want to take this and run with it. And um, I love that the mindset of that. So
Yeah.
there's things that we go through that we're probably not really prepared for, but that God has along our journey too that we can hopefully pick up and apply to our life. So we're not spinning our wheels and we're in the same spot a year from now or 2 years from now or
Yeah.
3 years.
I think entrepreneurs are more have that mindset that I've noticed. They're I noticed I had it more when I became an entrepreneur. It was like I want to learn and grow every day. I want to learn something new every day. And sometimes too, I mean, it is what it is, but sometimes it was the same thing because I didn't learn it the first time. I think you just mentioned that. So it was like for a year after I had COVID, I was learning for that 6 months. I was learning the same lesson over and over and over again because I didn't. Number one, I wasn't trusting God to get me through it. But number two, it was like I didn't fully understand the concept, right, of what I was dealing with. So God had to get me to the point where He's like, okay, we're going to learn this, and then we're going to learn this.
Yeah,
And then finally it was like, oh, okay. And okay, that learning journey was over. But I think that's where people get impatient, though. They think, oh, I know this, I know this. But do you really? Do you really know it? Do you know it in here? And that's the whole thing about soul hygiene, right? Is like, okay, if you know it up here, that's wonderful. But does up here match what's in here? And there's such a disconnect, especially in the society we live in right now, where it's like, oh yeah, you may have like the wisdom up here, but it hasn't quite connected with the wisdom that should be within your soul. Does that make sense? Because it's just,
sure.
I don't know. I feel like some people have their heads like in a turn around backwards or like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me how some people can think one thing and then say something else that's coming from deep within. And I'm like, that doesn't quite doesn't
Yeah,
quite match, right?
right, right, right. And I think we're all, whether we'll admit it or not, I think we're all on a growth journey. We're all challenged or struggling with some things, and you know,
Don't you have to see that you are? That's the thing. Like we all are on, and I didn't mean to interrupt you because
yeah, no,
but it's just a thought, but we all are on a growth journey, but you have to want to grow.
but some people don't.
And so, yeah, and some people don't. They just want to stay stagnant in like where they are. And that's when they don't experience the blessings and the fulfillment and the peace and
I agree 100%. And I think I mean, it's not easy, if you
yeah,
want to grow and if I just want to get rid of let's say I've got some bad healthy or unhealthy habits to get rid of them. Obviously, if they've been there for a long time, that's going to take it or make it harder to get rid of them and change them and create them into good healthy habits.
for sure.
Um, but if people are sort of content with, hey, I'm good with what I got and where I'm at, and I mean, but then that's awesome. That's good for them. But I think there's a lot of us too that it's like, okay, I'm blessed, life is good, but I don't want to just stay here and sit here. I think I'm called for more. I have a bigger
Mhm.
why, a stronger purpose, or I want to bless and help other people. I want to bless and help more people. And I think, and again, you and I've talked about this numerous times. It's like, there's so many people out there hurting. If we can just shine a light on their life in some way,
Right.
however it is, we
Hmm.
both we both have a heart's desire to do that because we
Yeah.
love people and people matter to us. So, um, the older I get too, it's like if you don't want to learn, that's fine. I mean, God bless you. I'll, see you down the road or whatever. But it's like I'm not gonna, we don't need to keep having a conversation here because whatever I'm gonna try to pour into, you don't want to hear anyways. And again,
Right.
I just respect people where they're at. So it's like okay, um, but I think those of us that want to keep being on that anvil and being, hammered chisel strike by chisel strike and just keep being shaped and keep being formed into the person that we know we can be, it's going to take patience and it's going to take pausing and reflecting and gleaning that wisdom from what God is trying to teach us or show us along the way. So
Yeah.
it's not
And
easy.
no. And I think that goes back to the saying of you don't learn in comfortable situations. Like
Correct.
I feel like I was, even though in an abusive situation for 25 years, that became, I kind of acclimated to it. That became my comfortable zone because that's all I knew for so long. That's what I thought life was, right? But I never learned, I never got past that until I hit that bottom. And then it was like, okay, now I've had all these things happen the last 6 years, health wise, just business, work, whatever it is. But that's when I've learned. That's when I've gained the wisdom. That's when I've gained the patience and the discernment. You don't gain all those wonderful attributes that God has within you if you just stay stagnant and comfortable where you sit.
So true. So true.
And that's my learning lesson the last 6 years, even though it's hard and it's definitely been hard. But, you know, just got to keep going, got to keep persevering.
Yeah. And and again, it's those are the things we don't want to go through that. We don't
Mm-mm.
want to go through the fall, you know. I mean, I've been through bankruptcy, divorce. It's like I've lost
Yeah.
businesses. I've lost, you know, I've had challenges in my life and it's like I don't want this. It's like, okay, I thought I was better than that, but obviously I'm not. So I've got some things I got to learn and grow and mature in. But being at the bottom of that pit, as much as I didn't want to be there many times in my life, that's when I learned the most. That's when I felt like, okay, now I really got to address these character defects in my life. And I've got to
Right.
make some changes. I got to learn some new skills and I got to grow and I got to, break these addictions or tendencies that I've had and really start stepping out of here one day at a time and climb out of this pit. And is it easy? Absolutely not. But if you're willing to do that and willing to, face your demons and start, growing and leaning on God and surrounding yourself with good people and, you know, you start on that path, it might be slow, but the trajectory of where it's going is really, 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 really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, not
Uh,
easy. Not that
no.
not if we could write our own scripts in our life, I know at least you and I wouldn't be like, oh, I wouldn't have chose this for me, Lord. But
Yeah. Wow. If we wrote a book together, it would be probably that thick and be yeah, that would be the one thing that I've learned, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. But even through, and I think I've said this multiple times on the show, once you learn that this isn't forever and God has better things, He will take what you have been through, all the bad, all the hurt, and pull blessings out of it. But you have to be willing to look back at those and find the blessings that He's pointing out to you.
yeah,
I can see so many times, even through all of the abuse, there were little nuggets of gold, little nuggets of blessing. And I could only look back now without crying, without what they say, getting triggered or whatever.
yeah,
I can look back now because I have that grace. I have, you know, God saying, I'm going to take what happened that was bad and make it good.
amen.
And that's the only testimony I have for where soul hygiene came from. So we
But
just keep going. We
and
just keep going.
that's absolutely beautiful. I think that if we can get to that point and we trust God enough to believe that, our whole world changes because now we see it with a different perspective and we see it from,
Yeah.
more of his side than our side because all we want is oh, poor me, and have a pity party. And it's like, believe
Yeah.
me, it's easy to do. But if you can take that and frame it just like you said, Miss TJ, it's like, I think that's the gift. That's the golden nugget right there. And um, whatever lesson that we're challenge we're going through, the lesson that we can learn is what God is trying to teach us the whole time. And, one of the funny things that I've always said is like, God, if you just tell me what I'm supposed to learn here. And, 'cause
Right.
I'll get the other side and I'm like, well, if I was just supposed to pick up that, I would have done this,
Right. Yeah.
6 years ago. But God at least doesn't work. He doesn't work that way with me and tell me, well, this is what I want you to learn. Doesn't, speak to me vocally like that. But going through it, going through the challenge, and that's where we can really learn, develop the skill. But then again, like you just said, it's like I think having that positive reframe, that perspective that you just said, that's really the end goal. That's what we want to have. So I think that's huge.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think we are going to end there because I think we're ending on a high note. And that in this the whole thing when Mr. Victor is on, it's I know that he is such an encouraging and an inspirational person. So I love having him on because I want my audience to leave knowing that if you have faith in God, anything is possible. You know, we don't have to work so hard in ourselves if we lay it at God's feet.
Amen.
I mean, honestly. So I think that's one thing I learn every single day with as many things as I have to do daily. Okay, God, if you want me to do this today, I'm laying it at your feet. So help me get through it. So I think that's one of the biggest lessons I've been learning. So leave our audience with just one little nugget of gold that you want to leave them and wrap the show up with.
This has been a great conversation. I would just love to say, just, as I think a lot of us are practicing patience in our lives, it's just, I would encourage everybody to pause, reflect, pray about it, and see what really God is trying to teach or show you through this. Patience is a virtue. It is a great thing. And in a world that has no patience or everything has got to be immediate, it's a challenge that we're faced with constantly. And again, I'm just as guilty of anybody about that. But really letting God show us what He's trying to show us as we're going through the fire. And if it's just like, hey, just to be more of a patient person, He wants us that way for a reason, because that's still only going to serve us. So
Exactly.
as you practice patience, really lean on the Lord and pause and reflect and just have Him show you what He's really trying to show you during that time.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. And as always, I'm going to make sure Mr. Victor's stuff is in the bio. Please go over and subscribe to his YouTube. I know that you will get as much of a blessing from it as I do daily. And he does download daily. So definitely go give him some love. Thank you so much. I hope you'll come back and join us again soon. Let's not make it so long in between.
Always honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's our blessing actually for having you here. So thank you so much everyone for joining us for another episode of Soul Hygiene. We'll see you later.